Hello everyone, welcome to the iWoman Report. I'm Cathleen Trigg-Jones. All of our worst fears are now becoming a reality as America is under attack by the COVID-19 virus, and sadly, we are feeling it from every angle. Here are the top stories we're following today. The numbers are shocking, and even more so in the African American community, where people are dying at an alarming rate. And just how bad is COVID-19 really? We'll hear from one of the top Broadway stars who's been fighting the battle of his life, but is finally on the road to recovery. Americans answering the call and getting creative with inventions to help stop the spread of corona. All right, everyone, so we saw the tsunami coming, but did we do enough to take shelter before it came crashing down on us? That's the big question as the United States now leads the world in corona cases and deaths. And sadly, the community being hit the hardest right now is African Americans, who are dying at a much higher rate than any other community in the country.
We've known literally forever that diseases like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and asthma are disproportionately afflicting the minority populations, particularly the African Americans. Unfortunately, when you look at the predisposing conditions that lead to a bad outcome with coronavirus, the things that get people into ICUs, that require intubation and often lead to death, they are just those very comorbidities that are unfortunately disproportionately prevalent in the African American population. So we're very concerned about that. It's very sad. It's nothing we can do about it right now except to try and give them the best possible care to avoid those complications.
Actor Idris Elba, who is recovering from corona, put out a personal plea to ask people to stop sending out the false information about blacks not being able to get infected, because he did.
Please stop sending the conspiracy theory nonsense about black people not being able to get coronavirus or COVID-19. It's dumb, it's silly, it's very dangerous. People need to know facts, need to understand the truth so that they can protect themselves. Stop sending this stuff out. It's very dangerous for all, not just black people, but everyone, because the more we can understand the facts, the better we can deal with it.
As Idris is proof of, everyone who contracts COVID-19 responds differently, and you really don't know until you've been infected just how your body will respond. Echoing his call to get everyone to take shelter in place seriously is Broadway star Brian Stokes Mitchell, who spent the past 2 weeks battling a severe bout with corona in his New York home. He's now on the mend, but tells me it was nothing like anything he's ever experienced before. I'm so happy to hear that you are recovered. You're feeling much better. We've all been sitting here very worried, not wanting to bother you, but very worried.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing much better now. You know, it's really nice, I have to say, to be on the other side of this.
What symptoms did you start off with? How did you even know that this was corona?
So I didn't at first. Here's what I had first. I had what was a sinus infection. And I've had sinus infections a million times before. Usually at this time of year, that's when I get them. I'm a singer, so I'm very aware of what's going on in my body, especially with my vocal cords, with my breathing, with my sinuses and everything. And so I was accustomed to the way this felt, and I could feel it kind of moving around my sinuses. But I noticed that it didn't seem to be getting better. And one particular night, I was hit very hard with it. It was like the worst sinus infection ever. I ended up in bed with a fever. I had chills. I could not get warm enough. I actually brought a heating pad to bed with me, and that still didn't warm me up enough. I had a massive headache. It felt like it felt like I'd gotten hit by a truck, actually. So I had called a doctor, and he gave me a prescription for a Z-Pak, which is what I usually get when I have a sinus infection, and clears it out. And I took that for about a day and a half, and it finally cleared out the sinus infection. But here's the curious thing that remained. What remained was this crazy fever that would not go away. And one of the things that I found through my friends, talking to my other friends that have had this, this is one of the symptoms that seems to be very common with everybody. You run up this fever that goes very, very high, and it starts after sundown. Everybody says, yeah, that's when mine started too. After 6, 7, 8, your fever starts climbing. And at the highest point, my fever hit 104.8. which is
104.8.
yeah, which is really huge. And I got on the phone with my doctor at that point because I was thinking, yeah, this must be it. I don't know. I think I had gone in for the test, but it took about 9 days for the test results to get back. So I still didn't know if I had it for sure or not. And I said, when do you go to the doctor? And one of his pieces of advice is, you don't, unless you're absolutely dying and it's life or death, you can't breathe, stay away from the hospital. They're overburdened at this point. You can also expose yourself to other different diseases there, or if you don't have it, you could expose yourself to it as well.
In your case, I think it's interesting that you said the doctors told you not to go to the hospital. It just seems with a temperature as high, I can't think of an adult ever that I've met. My kids, I remember when they were little, had maybe 104 temperature and we were freaking out, but I've never really heard or experienced myself a temperature that high.
Neither have I. Actually, the highest temperature I remember when I was maybe 15 years old, and I had a temperature of 104. The odd thing about it, though, was I wasn't delirious. I wasn't weak. I was still able to move. You know, my wife said I was glassy-eyed, and I didn't feel quite like myself. But one of the things about this disease also, and that everybody also agrees on, is when you have it, it feels like nothing else you've ever had before. And Tylenol works wonders, I gotta say. You know, that's one of its things that it does is bring down fever and bring down headache. And that really has worked wonderful.
So are you worried at all about those vocal cords? Because we can't live without your singing. So Stokes has to get completely better from this. Have you even tried to sing since you've had this?
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I do pretty much every day is I do a vocal warm-up because it's a great way to exercise your lungs. But the great thing is it's exercising my lungs, it's moving everything around in there, it's shaking loose any mucus that might still be in there. So right. I frankly recommend that to everybody. Just sing. Everybody can sing. You know, you don't have to be a singer to be able to do that. Sing your favorite song. Go sing full out. You know, it's a great way to exercise your lungs.
I love that. Well, I'm a shower singer. I think I'm a Broadway singer. Just no one else can hear it. So, well, again, Stokes, I can't thank you enough for coming on. God bless you. I'm so happy. We've been praying for you. I'm glad that you're doing well. Congratulations on the recent Theater Hall of Fame induction.
Thank you very much. Yeah, life has been good.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
You stay well, and I hope everybody who watches your show also stays well.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Stokes.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Take care, Kathleen.
You can see my complete interview with Brian on our iWoman YouTube channel. Finally, with all of the sad news, it's amazing to see just how resilient so many people are and stepping up to the plate to help any way that they can. Many new inventions are being started. I caught up with our lifestyle correspondent Liz Samuel earlier about all the new and innovative ways that individuals and small businesses are coming up with to answer the call for help and reinvent themselves.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So,
absolutely.
Right now, during this time of coronavirus, people are really stepping it up. Engineers, furniture makers, even candle makers are creating things like face shields. So it's not just big companies, these little companies, people who have 3D printing companies, people who just have 3D printers at home are getting the specs online and creating these face shields and face masks. And it's pretty amazing. There's a company called Shapeways that's they're known for 3D printing on demand. People upload their stuff and send it. But right now they're doing something where if you go and sponsor, I think it's like $20, they will make some face shields. And for every 4 sponsored, they'll sponsor a 5th. And they're getting out hundreds of these, if not thousands.
I think what's really interesting is 2 things. One, 3D printers is something that our kids started doing several years ago, and the schools would get maybe a 3D printer, and that was like the biggest thing. Who knew they would end up saving the world? And then 2, who knew small businesses would be able to kind of pull together right now when we need them most and solve problems that they weren't even thinking of, before.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's people like, it's not just the 3D printing businesses. It's like candle manufacturers and furniture makers. So it's really amazing.
Wow, incredible. What else?
So a few other inventions I thought were cool. In London, a designer came up with a way to open up a door without touching the handle. And I thought about this when I went to the supermarket the other day. I had my gloves on, I had a mask on, I had a hood on, and I didn't want to touch any doors, because even if you touch it with your glove, you're still going to get whatever it is on the glove. So this designer came up with something called a hygiene hook. So I thought that was great. And in Seattle, two brothers came up with a device called ImmuTouch. It buzzes when a person brings their hands up to their face. Don't we all need that?
Yes, because you don't even realize how much you touch your face until you can't. I'm constantly doing this or doing this or doing this or rubbing my eyes or biting my cuticle. I mean, it's like I'm constantly, and now I'm so self-conscious of it. So I would love to have that.
Right? Wouldn't that be great? So not only
it buzzes.
So it buzzes. So if you, I think you hold it or you have it on your wrist, and anytime your hand comes up towards your face, it buzzes.
that would be, I have to admit, that would be annoying. However, if it could save my life, I'll take it.
I know. Right now we need that. So we're not only thanking doctors and nurses and grocery store workers and postal workers right now, but these inventors. So thank you to the inventors out there.
Well, it's good to see people putting their thinking caps on during this time and being really creative.
Yes, absolutely. So thankful to them.
All right. Thank you so much, Liz.
No problem. Take care.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for joining us. If you feel compelled and you're looking for a way to help make a difference during this coronavirus pandemic, iWomanTV has teamed up with several individuals to launch the Cause We Care Heart campaign, a grassroots effort to support emergency responders in Harlem by providing meals and much-needed supplies to help them get through this crisis. A GoFundMe page has been set up, and tax-free donations can be made to Trigg House, Inc. For more information, visit our iWoman YouTube channel or trigghouse.com. Thank you again for joining us. Until the next time, please everyone, stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe.